What screams I have no life?
Story 1. People who spend their days arguing with strangers on Facebook.
But so many people on Facebook are so out of touch. Someone needs to let them know how stupid and behind the times they are.
Story 2. Constantly being on social media.
I think social media is alright, as long you don't make it your whole life. It's a great way to update others and talk to others. You don't always have time to meet up in person, especially when others live so far away. And then every now and then you get to meet up with people face to face on special occasions.
Story 3. Being the only guy ever offered extra shifts or hours because you never say no. Pretty much my life.
I think that just means you need money.
Can be a bit of both for some people. I had a colleague who'd turn up hours early and stay long after his shift was finished just because he seemed to have nothing else going on in his life. I didn't mind him, but he was a generally unpopular member of staff, so it wasn't even welcome party.
Story 4. Hired a young guy, had zero experience, and his qualifications didn't match, but he seemed keen, likable, and just wanting a change. I could not get rid of him, always really early, always staying late. I reassured him that I didn't care for that as long as the work was done, he could just do the hours set. First red flag was that he wasn't looking forward to time off. He made it seem that he just didn't want to stick around at home, and never had any money. I tried to give him some ideas of cheap things to do, but it seemed like a burden to him. His mood was often all over the place, found out he was having more issues at home, now that he was working closer and spending more time there. It wasn't much longer that he quit, found some job far away. Turns out he was giving all his salary to his mom, who drank it. His life wasn't much of anything, sat at home dealing with her, or trying to give out with zero money, then getting worse when he returned.
Story 5. People who obsessively post their life/relationships on Instagram.
One of my high school friends told me that she posts things on Instagram and if they don't get more than 20 likes she deletes them. That seemed really sad to me, that people continually check their posts and then delete them if they're not hitting. I can maybe see it if it's a celebrity or a business account, but this was just someone with a normal job.
Story 6. Spending almost every day bugging and following others for choices they made that's not hurting them or anyone else, like, do they not have places to be elsewhere?
I remember working in retail a while back. The security guard called me over to look at the cameras laughing. He was pointing at a dude on the camera decked out in golf clothes, white makeup, styled hair, all of that. I asked him, okay? What's funny about it? He said he looks ridiculous. So what if he does? If he wants to dress like that, let him. This dude has 2 kids at home and he's laughing at a goth like he has the maturity of a 10-year-old.
Story 7. Being way too invested into the life of reality TV stars.
I'm going controversially to disagree with this. Quite often reality TV is a big talking point in social circles, and people get involved and start watching because they want to fit in with the conversations. So knowing more things about the stars can help you be interesting to other people when it comes to social situations, and even in the workplace. I've been excluded from many hours of conversations at work just because I have no interest in sports or reality TV. Obviously there are a lot of other things that can make you interesting. But I definitely wouldn't say this one proves that someone doesn't have a social life. The reason they get so involved might be directly tied to their active social life.
Story 8. Tracking someone on their phone. Real story, my husband was sick one day and both his sister and mom started tracking his phone, started texting early Monday morning wondering why he was still at home.
This actually gave me the idea that I could set up tracking from my grandmother's phone in a healthy way. She's almost 80, lives alone in a 2-story house with a big yard. She likes to work in an hour away from the closest family, and we always worry about her. Sometimes you can't get in touch with her and it would be nice to know if that's because she doesn't have her phone at home or if she's out or busy somewhere or if she's hurt or just whatever. The occasions we'd check would probably be once or less a year, hopefully, but that's actually something I hadn't thought of. Now if only we can pitch this to her in a way that doesn't make her think we're going to be literally tracking her or trying to take away her independence and freedom.
Story 9. worrying about what others are doing with their life. But sometimes I feel like that's a quite natural behavior. People constantly and actively compare themselves with other people. Some don't do it because they have healthy minds and probably were raised not to do it, obviously, but I'm sure the vast majority does compare themselves with other people a lot, and unless they consciously decide to shut that behavior off or are told to, they're gonna keep doing it. Doing it doesn't necessarily means that you have no life. It can mean that, absolutely, yes, but it could also mean you're just interested in what your friends are up to. Like everything, it gets bad on the extremes. When you get obsessed with what your friends are up to, that's where it becomes unhealthy.
Story 10. You know, I want to talk about the exact opposite of this. What screams I'm living life the way it's intended to? Well, I have a buddy who I think is a pretty great person. He never gets into any drama, always does what he has to do on time, and plays the games he enjoys in his spare time. Life throws at him sometimes, but he just deals with it, and continues to just do whatever he does like nothing happened. He just lives life, and as a result, he is able to extract a good amount of happiness from it. He says he is just happy. He has defined himself as a simple man, and I think that's how life should be lived. Like, just live your life, dude. For him, is just that simple.
It's me. I chose my job, something related to my interests and passions, and developed a life around it. So when I work, I'm actually having fun. Not all the time, it would be too fantastic, but most of the time, yeah. I would really do a big part of my job for free because I really enjoy it. Then I have my wife, my kids, my other passions, and I've managed to link some of them to the job too, and sport. The only thing I really miss is a dog. I moved in a house without any garden and I can't have the big dog I really want. But one day I will.
Story 11. Thinking other people have no lives because they want to live their life how they want to.
Story 12. Staying at work later than quitting time when work is finished. Letting your vacation time cap out and stop accruing because you have nothing to do. Having literally zero answers about what you like to do in your spare time. This is my coworker who my boss loves and can literally do no wrong. It makes me absolutely crazy.
Story 13. Hard to actually catch or find out fast, but I had lifelong friends where I slowly found out over many years that they literally have no personal life. There were different variations, but they literally had no hobbies or life content on their own. After school/work or finishing/losing such things, they simply fell into a void of a blank slate life. Sometimes they did not even seem lonely, depressed at all. They just simply had an unfilled and empty life aside from obligations. Some of them were holding that up by caring for family members, some literally copied their full life content from their friends or became a copy of their partner. Interesting when you met their different behavior profiles with different groups of friends or when they switched partners. Scary when a super emotional and caring girl suddenly turned into an emotionless and brutal wannabe Harley Quinn next to her Joker boyfriend. A guy who had all kinds of mental problems you could ever be diagnosed for. No judgment, as we all change to some degree according to our social circles, but some people were so empty that their life literally onto whatever it could find and filled itself with an overwhelming amount of that. Sometimes reminds me of that SpongeBob scene where Patrick simply has nothing to do or on his mind until SpongeBob returns home and gives his life some content.
Story 15. My old boss. The guy is in his 50s and never had kids with his wife. The dude lives to work. Every weekend he'd be working and messaging stuff in the team chats. Monday morning during the team update meeting he'd always say something like, "I was able to solve that problem for us this weekend." Towards the end of the week he'd say stuff like, "That's something I'll do on the weekend." Good thing is he never expected anyone else to work. But for him, working was his life. I attribute this largely to not having people to spend time with.
16. Me. I don't talk to people, all I ever do is spend most of my time in the gym or reading. That's all I do all day. On weekends I usually go hiking and climb a mountain near my city, usually before dawn so I can enjoy the sunrise. The world is so beautiful, but I was in bad RSO much as a younger kid. It turned me to never feel enough. Now I am stronger and bigger than all of the people who hurted me, but I know inside I am still that little defenseless kid. I love my life even though by most social standards I don't have it. I enjoy minding my own business, and although it does get lonely, and sometimes, I still know there's so much more beauty in this world than pain.